Sansu Emma Obibiara Akwaba be made by in China Kasi. So we shall subscribe ya mesro. Now we subscribe to so Eddie Amana de Akosu e man kunga na neba e bija bituma. Wo so wenye bi no ahwe won sira betu e wana wana nsema ekoso no ano e de yepa. Wo de weni echirim e wo parliament na te say nsem bi e bobo fi ho no ba na te say minority leader e Kwamina Afenyo Markins so e de nsem ahoro na e de nsem bi aba betu e monte so na te say o chesintinu 2026 budget a NDC amanyoku ebe kinkan ede kire omo no ento asunkura yi na te say 796 pages no omo hu enwoma papa bia na te say ewuma omo betimi aka say we eye anase we enya na busua omo akire sentinu e ade omo bema his excellency John Dramani Mahama enya na entiase se budget ahora or the ababetu emontin so no omo ntiase ombra na ombe chirechire mu emfa enchire na busua omo de nsama ahoro na na egu emontin so na te say enye asanketo akra finance minister enso e de ne de ebe kan ho na te so no so no ne to e ya dedi e wo baby a te say yese e $294 million omo de kwakoji sanitary pad e de abre student no ye bi so mo nsam bi se bi e wo ho no na te say enye asanketo akra enya de omutimi eyi sansam na no yenko ji asam no enchire mu.
This budget is built on propaganda, sustained by abandonment, and destined to deepen the suffering of ordinary Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, simply put, this is not a budget. It is a national retreat disguised as a national plan. But Mr. Speaker, this government must keep in mind that it keeps repeating that it inherited a collapsed, comatose, lifeless economy in January 2025. But the World Bank, not the minority, not the MPP, but the World Bank, in its official Ghana review overview updated on October 6, 2025, recalls the truth. Quote, stabilization has improved conditions with 2024 growth at 5.7%. Mr. Speaker, this must sink. 5.7% real GDP growth in 2024 before this government touched the wheel. Now compare that with their own projections. In their 2025 budget, they projected growth at 3.3%, a collapse of 2.4 percentage points. Even the World Bank's generous assessment reaches only 4.3% for 2025. And for 2026, this budget promises 4.8%. The arithmetic is brutal. The 2024 under Nanado's MPP, 5.7 growth, this has been certified by the World Bank. 2025 under NDC, 3.3% to 4.3% growth, according to their own figures. Then the 2026 under the same NDC, they project 4.8%. If 5.7% growth is comatose, what name should we give to 3.3%? Paralyzed, dead, or arrival? By their own numbers, the economy is now performing worse than the so-called collapse they claim they inherited. The truth is merciless. MPP handed over a stabilized, recovering economy growing at 5.7%. The NDC slowed it at 3 to 4%. Mr. Speaker, when you slow down faster than the dead economy you inherited, you cannot claim to have inherited ruins. This grand deception is the foundation of everything that follows. Every abandoned program, every misprioritized allocation, and every constitutional violation. Once this lie is exposed, everything else begins to crumble. It's the reason why I reminded my colleagues that if you rise to eminence by merit, you live respected. Now your lies, your propaganda, stand exposed after you lie to the people. Mr. Speaker, let me turn to the human consequences of this deception. 6 Ghanaian women died in a stampede at Elwak Stadium. They were not there because they all dreamed of becoming soldiers. They were there because in an economy where jobs have vanished and opportunity has been strangled, any recruitment exercise looks a lifeboat. Those young women died because desperation met poor preparation in a context of mass joblessness. Mr. Speaker, their deaths are not random. They are a direct consequence of policy abandonment. They are human costs of government that has slowed economic growth and quietly killed the very programs that once absorbed labor and gave young people hope. If planting for food and jobs was still robust, if 1D1F was still expanding, if Agenda 111 was employing workers across the country, the probability of thousands of desperate young women piling up at the gates would have been far lower. Before we discuss billions and percentages, let us remember, their debt must not be in vain. Their budget must be judged by whether it prevented another LWAC or guarantees more. On that test, Mr. Speaker, this budget fails catastrophically. Mr. Speaker, LWAC was not an isolated incident. It was a direct consequence of economic policy that has methodically dismantled every viable pathway to employment. Consider the evidence. 32% of youth aged 15 to 24% are unemployed. These statistics reflect a challenge we inherited when we assumed office in 2017. Yet we actively address these through structured programs. Planting for food and jobs, 1D1F, Agenda 111, and the Youth Start entrepreneurial funding and training. Whilst imperfect, these programs constituted a functioning employment architecture that delivered 5.7 economic growth. This government's response, systematic demolition. They eliminated the PFJ without replacement, 1D1F cancelled, they abandoned Agenda 111, and what do we see? Stagnation. Having dismantled the working solution, they now offer an uncosted fantasy of 800,000 new jobs and a betrayed manifesto promise. Where is the 1 million coders that has been reduced to 100 million without targets, alongside declining growth to 3.3%? Let me be blunt. Their priorities are in the least a scandal. They can find billions for new presidential jets, yet find a fraction of that for their jobs for the youth. What matters more, the comfort of a new presidential jet or the survival of millions on the ground? Mr. Speaker, this is not just hypocrisy. It is a declaration of war on the aspiration of our children. The young women at LWAC did not just die. They were sacrificed on the altar of political vanity and breathtaking incompetence. We will not stand for it. Ghana's youth deserve better than ghost programs and empty promises. They deserve the ladder of opportunity this government so cruelly destroyed. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to the budget itself. This budget, Mr. Speaker, this budget is a cut and paste budget. When we say the successes of Nanado government is as a result of solid foundation laid by his administration, the NDC start to fight. But look at pages 74, 75 to 76, paragraphs 519 to 533. It is a complete cut to paste, cut and paste budget. They claim we have a ministry for works and housing. With all the 60 ministers, with all the appointees in cabinet, they could not open their eyes to see that they were selling something to Parliament that they themselves have not defined as part of the ministries. Mr. Speaker, how can you, at paragraph 519, claim that there's a Ministry of Railway Development? How can you, at paragraph 528, say that Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, and then at paragraph 523, again say Ministry of Works and Housing? Where was the Deputy Minister who could have paid attention to these details and dotted the I's Where were the ministers? And this document has been brought to Parliament. In the list, this document must be withdrawn and a new budget brought before Parliament. Parliament will not accept this cut and